This is for Algebra 2. Today we're looking at inverse matrices. The identity matrix is our starting point for this. And an identity matrix is a matrix that the diagonal going down to the right is all ones and everything else is a zero. So the 2 by 2 identity has your ones, everything else is zero. This is a 3 by 3 and a 4 by 4. Your identities are going to be for square matrices. So the 5 by 5 would have a 1, a 1, a 1, a 1, and a 1. So then you're going to have 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0, 0, 0, 0. Not very pretty, but that's what your 5 by 5 matrix, identity matrix, looks like. Okay, the reason this is important is that when you are talking about inverses, two matrices are considered to be inverse if you get the identity matrix when you multiply them together. So that if they give you two matrices and say, tell me if they are inverse or not, you multiply them together. So remember, this is a 2 by 2, and this is a 2 by 2. Yes, you can multiply them, and your answer will be the outside. So the answer is a 2 by 2. And you take your first column, or your first row times your first column, first row times second column, second row times first column, second row times second column. And when they did all that work, okay, they multiplied all that together, they ended up with 1, 0, 0, 1, which is an identity matrix. Therefore, yes, they are inverse. So, looking at number 1, determine if they are inverses. So this is going to be a 2 by 2. And you're going to say 4 times 4 plus 5 times negative 3. You're going to say 4 times negative 5 plus 5 times 4. 3 times 4 plus 4 times negative 3. 3 times negative 5 plus 4 times 4. And you can just do that in the calculator. You don't have to show me all that. You need to know what you're doing though. So we've got 16 minus 15 is 1. We've got negative 20 plus 20 is 0. We've got 12 minus 12 is 0. And we've got negative 15 plus 16 is 1. And I'll look at that. That is the identity matrix. So yes, these are inverse. Going to the next page. Same thing. I just want you to multiply and figure out. Okay, so you've got your first column times your first row. So you're going to have 6 minus 5. Is that right? So that's 1. Then you're going to have negative 3 plus 3 is 0. You're going to have 10 minus 10 is 0. And you're going to have negative 5 plus 6 is 1. This, when you look at it, is the identity matrix. So yes, they are inverse. You can use your calculator when you're punching that in, or you can show what you're doing. It doesn't matter. So we're going to say 4 minus 3 is 1. We're going to say 6 minus 6 is 0. 10 plus 1 is 11. And then 15 plus 2 is 17. It's not the identity matrix, so no, they are not inverse. Number 4, you're going to say 8 times negative 4 is negative 32, plus 11 times 11 is, no, plus 11 times 3 is 33, that's 1. 8 times 11 is 88, plus 11 times negative 8 is negative 88, so that's 0. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 4 times 3 is, no, 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, plus 4 times 3 is 12, gives you 0. 3 times 11 is 33, plus 4 times negative 8 is minus 32, so 1. So when you look at this, yes, it is the identity, so yes, they are inverse. So if they give you 2, and they want to know if they are inverse or not, you just multiply them together and see if you get the identity. If they give you 1 and tell you to find the inverse, okay? The inverse of a 2 by 2 is referred to as a to the negative 1. That means inverse. You take 1 over AD minus BC times D negative B negative CA. Probably what you want to do is add this to your blue note card that you had on Monday for Kramer's rule. You want to add all of that information to it, okay? You don't really have to worry about that part. So, it's A, B, C, D. So this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D. And your AD minus BC is just your cross. Okay, it's kind of like your determinant. So, we're going to start by saying 7 times 1 minus 2 times 2 gives me 3. If this right here is a 0, you can't do it. Okay, make note of that. If when you do this first step you get a 0, then there is no inverse. If you get a number, then that goes on the bottom. It's going to be 1 over that, 1 over 3 in this instance, times D negative B negative CA. And that's what I'm telling you. Write it on your note card because it's not a normal thing to use. It's kind of hard to remember. So it becomes 1/3 times 1, negative 2, 7. You multiply it, and there's your inverse. You're going to notice the inverses look kind of strange and are more likely to have fractions. So let's try one. Looking at number 1, you start by saying 24 times 4 minus 8 times 12. And if you punch this in your calculator, 24 times 4 minus 8 times 12, you get 0. If you ever get 0, then you have to say that there is no inverse. There's not an inverse for this problem, which that means you like it because you go on to the next one. So 1 times 1 is 1 minus 0 times 1 is 0 equals 1. So that means your fraction is going to be 1 over 1 times, and this is where you have to use your formula. Go back over here and label these A, B, C, D. And then looking at your formula, it's going to be D negative B negative CA. So D is 1. Negative B means go find B, which is 1, and use the opposite sign. So negative 1. Negative C, so that's still going to be 0. And A, which is 1. Then you just multiply everything. This is just going to be times 1. So your answer is 1, negative 1, 0, and 1. If you wanted to check yourself, what you would do would be you would multiply this right here times your original problem, and it would need to equal your inverse, which is 1, 0, 0, 1. I mean, your identity would need to equal your identity. You don't have to do that. That's just if you want to make sure you get them right. So 40 times 30 minus negative 20 times negative 10. In your calculator, 40 times 30 minus negative 20 times negative 10. And you get 1,000. Which seems really, really big, doesn't it? But it's right. If you get 1,000, that means that that's the number on the bottom. Okay, and you're going to multiply it by your D negative B negative CA, which is going to be 30, 10, 20, 40. And so when you multiply those, you're going to get 0.03, 0.01, 0.02, 0.04. This is your answer. All right, that's all the notes. This is going to take you to your assignment. Remember, you can write the formula down on your note card, and you can use that. You will be allowed to use that on the test as well. That's all for inverse and identity matrices.